Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 187. Each week we meet here to answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. With us tonight we have David Rozan. David is an SEO of 12 years standing and a SEO copywriter of 32 years standing. Or something. He doesn't look like that old. Doesn't look that old.
No.
Anyway,
I haven't been writing SEO copy for 32 years either. But never mind.
You've been writing copy for 32 years. Is that it?
Yes, I've been copying words for 32 years. Yes.
Okay. Now it's becoming clearer. David can be found at writingforseo.org. Masataki Wasa is webmaster of. David's located in the UK too. Also in the UK is Masataki Wasa. Masataki is webmaster of wasaweb.net. He is also a Google top contributor on the AdSense community. And you can see by the dictionary on the bookshelf behind him, he has a Russian dictionary. He's also a translator of words. Micah Fisher-Kirchner is Senior SEO Manager for Zendesk in the United States. He's on the west coast of the USA. He's inserted joke. Thank you, Micah. Why not? Okay, so Micah is a regular on the public speaking circuit, or on the SEO speaking circuit. Last seen it was at Dratec.
Martech.
No, Dratec is that's the router I just had to configure. Okay. All right. Okay, Tim was born not far from Red Square as Timochenko Fishkin Kaspersky. Recruited in his teens with a new cover name of Tim Fishkin Kappa, Tim was parachuted into England.
What are you on about, mate?
On the eve of the collapse of the Soviet Union. Micah said, insert Putin joke here.
I was born in the cradle of humankind.
South Africa?
Damn right.
Yeah, but you were stolen, weren't you, and taken to Red Square?
Yeah, the commies eventually came down to Russia, and that's how the whole thing evolved. But I was born in the cradle of humankind.
Anyway, with a new name, Tim was parachuted into England on the eve of the collapse of the Soviet Union. But due to an unexpected bout of good weather, Tim was accidentally dropped 27 miles north of the intended destination. He landed in Corby instead of London. Nobody told Tim, and to this day he believes that Corby is the capital of the UK. All right. Is that good enough?
At least just give out my website, mate.
Tim can be found at onlineownership.com.
Woohoo! We got there.
Yeah, he's very popular with the locals in Corby because he always, when asked his name, he gives it as Tim Fishkin Kappa.
Because I'm always stirring trouble in the council.
All right. We've got 7 questions, 5 news items tonight. Let's go to the first one. This is from Marty Eigner, and Marty asks, in a question titled, does Google penalise sites who hide structured data? He said, I've added some Hatem microdata to a WordPress site and have hidden it with CSS for aesthetic reasons. Does Google penalise sites who hide structured data?
Go for it, Tim.
No, I don't. Well, I don't believe they would, as long as it's applicable to that particular page that it's appearing on or attached to. The only time it might obviously penalized but not shown if it was intended to be shown, as in a rich snippet or something like that, would be if the CSS rolled across all pages, and let's just say, for argument's sake, this was to do with reviews, and of course were on a separate page, and now that markup, because it's in a particular CSS, is across all pages. In that instance, that particular markup is not applicable to, let's say, your Contact Us page, for example, and rather than penalized, it just would never be shown. So, as long as it's applicable to the pages that it would be appearing on, and I don't quite think it's called a penalty in that sense. I think it's more of a, we're not going to show it if we deem it, spammy in that sense.
Cool. Cool.
Do you think that hiding it with CSS is the best way to do this? Because you could implement it using JSON-LD, for example, and you can use meta content at least for scheming. So I'm not 100% sure whether hiding it with CSS is the best option that you have without showing the markup on the page.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're putting it in CSS, I'm assuming because it was meant to go site-wide or section-wide or something to that effect. Assuming, well, depending on what that CSS file was assigned to, but I would also say, it would be just as easy to put it in, if it's site-wide, into the header or the footer file. It's still aesthetically, because you said for aesthetic reasons, it's still aesthetic because it's not, but it's visible to Google, which would, in theory, be the better option. But I've never seen a case or read something where someone has said, don't put it in CSS. Not that I've seen.
Okay, I think we can consider that answered. I'm sure Marty Eigner will be happy with that. Next, we have a question from John Pitcher. It's titled Expanding Local Business to National or Nationwide Business. John goes on to say, a website has the homepage optimized for service local town A. Some sections of the homepage content cover general services offered. Other sections cover service in local town A. Two of the inner pages include service local town B and service local town C. As the web owner is now doing some national work, he would like to remove the service in local town A content from his homepage and put this into a new inner page, service local town A, and this would free up his homepage to cover the services offered in more general terms and would read better. Would this destroy his ranking in Google for service local town A once the new page is aged? At the moment, his homepage is already doing badly, bottom of page 1 for his hometown A, but the two inner pages are doing well for other local towns. Should he keep some mention of Town A in the homepage, e.g. in the title tag or the H1 or the content? The web owner does not expect to rank on the national scene, but wants his homepage to read better for all customers, not just Town A customers. He also doesn't want to lose ranking completely for his hometown.
Well, what you are describing or what you are thinking of wanting to do is the kind of general way that a website should have been set up with serviced area pages attached to it. So yeah, that's completely fine. You would obviously have an overall service page listing your particular services, or if they, if you had enough content to actually create a specific page for each service, then it would be fine. So ordinarily you would have, your /services, and you would have 10 little boxes on there describing your service and what you offer on a national, in a general scene. So don't think it was natural, but as a whole general offering of what your company can do. And then essentially you would have serviced area pages. So then it would be /service area and town, where you could be more specific in the sense that, these are the primary services that we offer in this town, and leave out the ones that you don't. Obviously, all of that should be uniquely descriptive to that town A, which I'm assuming you already have because you have those 3 pages, but they should be uniquely descriptive to that area and your services in that area. You can always kind of really add value, additional value to those towns. Depending on what you're doing, you could add localized specific images of serviced in that area. Of course, those would also be, marked up as the location for that particular area. You could add, do you have any specific video content that you've done? I don't know what the guy does. Driveway done in town A, how you did it, before, after shots, what it looks like. It's on YouTube already. You could bring that in with the name of the town in it, load it onto the page. You could have localized testimonials onto the page. This is just additional kind of stuff which really brings in the fact of that particular locality onto that page. But yeah, there's not a problem. Serviced area, serviced area location A, serviced area location B, and service area location C. That's not a problem whatsoever. You can also reference that in your footer. You could say locations that we serve, and you could just have town A, town B, town C. Don't go overboard with 50 million, but I'm saying like town A, town A, town B, so people can click through quite easily from the home page. If they see it, or the actual main general service page, they can click through to see what specific services are in those towns. Yeah, so what you've described is not a problem with it. Just make sure that your service area A, B, and C are unique to one another for the area they serve, and you can expand on obviously the information that is more nichely local to that. So yeah, no, it's not a problem whatsoever. That's kind of the general way you should be doing it.
Good one, Tim. Anybody else? Okay, let's move on to the next. This one is titled, Does Google Crawl JavaScript Dynamic Content? From Benjamin Van Leeuwen. Benjamin said, hi, on my WordPress website I use a plugin which acts like a store locator. It shows stores on a Google map which can be loaded on page load or by a query generated by a user. The listings which show up, stores and addresses, on the Google, which show up on the Google Maps and in a list, are visible if you inspect the page with the developer tools build in Firefox or Chrome. However, they are not visible if you just check the source code. This is because the results listed up through JavaScript after a query is fired or on page load. My question is, does Google crawl dynamic content like this?
Well, I think Edwin's answer is probably good. I mean, if the robots.txt tag is blocking the JavaScript area for that, it's not going to be crawled. Yeah, that's going to cover it. So you always got to make sure about that, and I think that's kind of to that. Now, on its own, dynamic content, it can be crawled, but you have to be kind of careful. It might not crawl effectively. It can be quite process heavy. So even if this wasn't blocked, there still might be specific issues. Oftentimes, if you're going to be using JavaScript, you have to kind of pre-render some of the content for it to be crawlable to the way that you want.
Yeah. I mean, what the use is of this in terms of if you are adding it as a kind of thing for your store locator, and because you do say store locator, I mean, I immediately prick up there thinking, right, well, if you're using this in terms of a store locator, is that what you're relying on as a store locator for your, you know, like, I don't quite know what you're relying on it for. In the sense that if this is an e-commerce store or a large national chain, and you're relying on that to display your stores to obviously the users, essentially, you know, that is just really bad, especially in terms of local SEO. Each and every one of those stores should have their own specific page, you know, name, address, etc., 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 opening hours, telephone numbers, any particular parking, whatever, because, you know, that is essentially, if somebody's searching in that particular area, brand name, location, your that sort of JavaScript kind of map is never going to be displayed in search results. Essentially, if you don't have that particular local landing page that somebody's searching for the brand and location, and you don't have an actual physical page for it, it won't appear in search results. And potentially that's, you know, a lost opportunity. So whilst you may want to use that and then allow the person, once they've located it, to actually click through to a physical page, I don't know if that's what you've done, but if you've done that, then cool. So then this is just a nice little interface for them to actually use a little map and find the map and click through to the internal page. If you've done that and they have got their own internal page, okay, that's cool. Well then, you know, that's just a nice little thing for them. I wouldn't worry about that in sense of crawling or whatever, because it's never really going to appear. It's going to be the local physical page that will appear. So I would really just double check and think about why you're using it. If it's for the user, that's cool, you know, fine. But the reason you said, is Google able to crawl it, I'm thinking you are intending that page to appear for something, and when you said locations, I'm assuming you should actually have individual pages for your store locations. So, yeah.
Thank you, Tim. Looks like we're losing Micah. Micah, you're heading off to Silicon Valley?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. I don't get anything right. Okay.
Oh.
Well, at least so Micah gets. Oh, I'm just heading into San Francisco, not freaking parachuted in on some freaking halfway down fucking Mexico. Then he's got to fucking leopard crawl his way through the border, up through the border, dodging all the cartels, eventually drag himself half, to death, and eventually get to San Francisco. He doesn't get that, does he?
Yeah. No, but that's because I live in a country that has cars.
Mate, just wait till Trump gets in, then you people are just going to be a laughing stock of the entire freaking universe. Look, I mean, the world will just be like, say what? America, what? United, what? You'd just be like, in fact, you might as well just tear yourselves out the Encyclopedia Britannica right now, because if he gets in, mate, you just remove the United States section out of the encyclopedia, and just, in fact, the Queen will just come on and say, look, chaps, you've really cocked this one up. We're having you back for your own, for your own good.
I'm glad. Yeah. It's always great to see parents nice and providing their opinion for what they miss.
Out of interest, what country did you originally? What was your sort of family heritage from?
It's split. So I've got the Jewish side, which is more Eastern Europe, and then my other side is split mostly over in the UK. So UK, Scottish, and Irish.
Ah, so we've got half English, and then we're still trying to keep them freaking immigrants out. All right. Well, the UK is going to be voting to leave the EU, so we're going to take half of you back, and the other half, well.
Oh man. Yeah, we'll see how your currency does after that.
Oh, I'll tell you what, listen, mate, after Trumpy gets in, it's going to be like everything will revert back from dollar trading, world currency, back to the pound.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah. Our currency is going to be well sorted. We'll be. We're still in the currency anyway. They all still want pounds anyway. They all still want everything from us. They'll be crawling on their knees. Kruger hands. In fact, I've got some in my escape and evasion belt, Jim.
I will say this, Micah. Like we may be an uneducated rabble. All of us around the world that aren't living in the US of A. But at least we know the difference between 7-Eleven and 9/11.
Yes.
Oh, I think most of us generally do, even in the US.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, most people in the US think the Eiffel Tower is somewhere south of Wisconsin.
Well, that's true. It's just it's in a city called Las Vegas.
Yeah. Bless.
So.
Oh, well, have a good day, mate.
Yeah, take
Have
care,
fun.
guys.
Safe journey to work, mate.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
All right, let's go on with our next. We're more than half of the way through. This one is from David Moran on cutting and slicing keywords. David said, "Hey guys, a quick question regarding keywords for a specific page. If I repeat a word multiple times, Is it better to have that as a separate keyword or have them all combined? Example 1, charges interviews, charges game recap, charges rumours. I guess Chargers must be a football team. And example 2, charges, comma, interviews, comma, game recap, comma, rumours. I guess he's referring, well, I'm not sure. Of course, I see Federico Sasso, one of our forum heroes, has asked where they would be put. Oh, in the meta tag, in the keyword meta tag keyword section. Yeah.
Just don't
well,
bother.
I was going to
well,
say,
look, you guys would all say that not to use the meta keyword, but I use it on all of our sites. I don't find it a burden because, one, you know, I don't believe everything Google says, and two, there are lots of search engines and lots of crawlers that aren't Googlebot, and they might use it. Like for argument's sake, Bing might use it. Although I think they specifically say they don't use it too.
Bing was the first one that specifically said they don't use it.
But the point is that by using that tag, you're telling all the site's competitors which keywords you're optimizing on. So there's another reason for not using it.
The thing is, the thing that will concern me, I mean, you know, I don't mind if you know, let's say you were, say for example, you were using WordPress and you had Yoast and they've got this silly little traffic light thing to help you kind of understand your page, and you add in like a keyword. Fair enough. It's not gonna harm you in any way, shape, or form. However, I remember Google saying that they don't use them, but they reserve the right to use them as a spam indicator. So the point is, if you're going to use it, stick to no more than 3 if you wanted to. But in the way that you added those, then for me, this will all be on a page. Interview, I can't remember, it's not up there now, but interview something else or something else. They all seem completely separate subjects, so I don't know why it would page. In theory, that should be on a different page, really. If, like, what did you say? They were a football team. So if they were like a football team and you had interviews on and blah blah blah, well then I would just just keep it. It's the charges. I wouldn't go into interviews and blah blah blahs and different things like that. Even just about the charges, that would be fine. But
Yeah, I might just add that I think it's San Diego. I may be wrong, but I would put the place name at some point because charger is a noun. It can mean different things. So you want to make sure that it is about that football team. So give the whole name if you like, with a place name and a team name, rather than just the charges. People would understand it, but just to make sure. You don't have to repeat it every single time, give the full name every single time, but at some point somewhere you just want to make sure that it's absolutely clear what you're talking about. You're not talking about telephone charges, mobile charges, you're talking about a sports team.
Yeah. Well, I think that's adequately covered this. I just want to point out our forum heroes, Federico Sasso and Luke Jaffe, jumping in and answering these questions through the week and making life easy for us by asking the little extra questions which add to the original question and make it more understandable and help to make the hangout on air all the more effective. We appreciate it very much, Federico and Luke. And let's move on to the next. This one from Luke Pilkington Ching, a question titled Ranking on Similar Keywords. Luke said, I'm so stuck with this site, onarrival.co.nz. I've been trying to get to move upwards on rankings for months for these kinds of key phrases. Immigration to New Zealand, New Zealand immigration, immigrate, that should be emigrate, Luke, emigrate to New Zealand, move to New Zealand, New Zealand immigration. But I'm getting almost no traction. All suggestions will be most appreciated. I am wondering if I have overlooked something quite fundamental. Sometimes it takes time, Luke, and sometimes months aren't enough time.
And I suspect it's quite competitive. And there must be quite a lot of service providers who assist people with immigration.
What were those immigration?
Quite a nice site. I see the bullet points on the home page. That seems to me like a perfect spot for a link, and the anchor text link would help with the ranking. An internal link to the page, like I'm sure one of those services pages would deal with orientation services, and there'd be a page that has temporary accommodation and school search and registration and so on. Otherwise, why would you have them on the home page?
You've got 404 pages sitting in. What the heck? Huh? Hang on. Let me just go back here. Okay, so your main domain is, I'm just looking at something here quickly, mate. Main domain is www.onarrival.co.uk. That is correctly canonicalized, but you're serving basically your site on www. Your sitemap.xml is all non-www, rather oddly. Then if I take, I took one in there, so then I'm going to just take that URL anyway. Okay, so that one. Okay, so then I've just, in your sitemap, I've taken your on arrival / about us live in New Zealand. And that page is served on non-www. Then let me just chuck in the www and see if that. Yeah, and it's served on the www. So you've correctly handled your domain on the home page. You haven't handled it for any other pages. So essentially, you serve in 2 pages for everything else. The other issue is I was looking at, in your sitemap, the immigrate to New Zealand information. I took that one in, and that one's a 404. So where's that page gone? Because I mean that's one of your main keywords, immigrate to New Zealand information. I mean everything should be in there, shouldn't it? I mean I want to see why it's there. I want to see videos of living in New Zealand. I want to see. You got to sell this place to me. I mean, as far as I'm aware, it's a cold place to live, and the economy's been struggling for the last 40 years. So, you got to sell it to me, mate.
No, that would be Corby.
No, mate. This is the only country in the UK that was to survive the recession, and we did, mate. Why would anyone want to? Okay, I'm just picking odds and sods out of your. Okay, I found another one. On arrival, our moving to New Zealand services in your sitemaps 404. Yeah, look, you've got a lot of work to do. Forget about trying to rank stuff. Get your site in order. I'm just picking odds and sods. So some pages are correct. Some internal pages are also available on without the www, as in your sitemap, right? And some pages aren't. Now, I don't know if you've actually why these ones were removed, why they're still in the sitemap, or what the crack is. But I'm just adding in. No, so even on the www, some of these are 404. So, I mean, you've got 404 pages in your sitemap which are being shown with the wrong format, being non-www. So you really need to sort that out. Some are live on www and on non-www. Yeah, you know, I would really just sort of work your way through these things. Let me not take the larger ones. Let me take like the service ones and just see how those are doing, because those are obviously top line navigation. Okay, so your services comprehensive is live on non-www. Let me throw in the dub. And it's also on the www. So I would certainly look at those. This could be one piece of the puzzle, one tiny piece that is, you know, putting a spanner in the works. That's for sure. Let's look at the. Have you managed to get any I would also look at maybe trying to get stuff got a lot of graph stuff in this. I mean, I think some newspapers or good publications might enjoy this, you know. Another thing is, I'm on your Immigrate to New Zealand blog, which is a at the very end, something's going on here, because at the very bottom of the page, any of those next links. So I want to go to page 2 in your blog to see, you know, more stories. But when I hover over the next, all of a sudden it gives me, I'm looking at the URL, $start equal 5. Well, in theory, it should be start equal 2, shouldn't it? But it's taking me to the very end. Unless you only have one page, I don't know. If you do only have one page of sort of, which is what, I don't know, 5, 6 articles, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I can't see, but essentially, if you've only got 5 articles and you're trying to compete in a very competitive sort of market, I mean, although they good articles, I would seriously start, ramping up that content, because of course, anyone thinking about immigrating to New Zealand, you've got your blog is a perfect way of long-term, more longer-term, more specific queries. So, I mean, you could even go as far down as, I mean, let's say I wanted to go to New Zealand. Okay, so initially I might want to find out what the criteria are of immigration. So, okay, yeah, I don't know how you do it. I don't know if you work on points or money or whatever. But let's just say, okay, all right, it's on points, and yeah, I've worked it out. Okay, I've got enough points. If you do it on points, I don't know. So there's another thing. You might want to have a calculator or something. If it's on points, people can do a calculator. But let's say, assume now I've worked out, boom, okay, great. But now I want to find out about New Zealand. I want to find out about the different cities, towns, what each one offers. And these are things that you could present in your blog, because these are things that someone's going to be searching if they were interested in immigrating. So they'd be searching like best city for, starting whatever, or best city with the most affordable properties, or best city with, the sort of growing economy, because I'm assuming they'd be looking in terms of jobs. So I would literally sit down and, either maybe interview some people that, you've helped and things like that. What were their overriding criteria? I mean, you could literally go into immigrating, you could literally content on every town, city, and I'm talking about, really, really good content. I'm just going to do a site search query, because I just want to see if you have got additional blog pages, because that's something you need to look at. For some reason, it's jumping straight to the end, which is a query 5. So page 5. Oh. Ooh. Okay, we've got some. Mate, there's a bit of a problem here. Whoa. Okay, you should seriously sort this out, big time. I've just done a site query, so that's site:/www.onarrival.co.New Zealand. Second thing down for me is a thing, the title reads Bunny hyphen on arrival. I'm thinking, what the hell is this? I've just clicked through. This is, I believe, someone's application, and it is all visible to me. I've got arrival dates, expected arrival dates, company names, number of children, school ages, names, what level, date of birth. Okay, the date of birth is obviously that's been changed in terms of encryption, but I'm sure somebody could figure that one out. Yeah, that needs to come. That needs to go today, please. It has to go. You need to sort that out today. And I'm assuming it's happening for all of these. I've got Melissa on arrival, Peggy on arrival, Justin on arrival, Judy on arrival. Okay, so the question here is, I would just forget about ranking at the minute in that sense. You're going to see, things improve, but you need to really take care of your site. The basic things. Check that your site, your non-dub to your dub is across the site. Make sure your sitemap is correct in terms of serving dub, and that every single page in that sitemap are actually live. What else have we found? Yeah, check your blog, because I mean, if that is only sort of like 5 or 6 articles, well then, you kind of need to ramp that up, really go to town. Yeah, so you need to ramp that up, go to town. I see there's quite a few parameter queries which have been indexed. I would look at those particular pages and their parameter queries. Do they even need to be indexed? And if, do they even need to be indexed? Either robots.txt or parameter queries, or canonicalize them, because that's just additional crap that's in the site. What else? What else did we say? Oh yeah, and sort out those forms, please. I would also, in the sense, you've got your contacts, you've got your email at the top, your thingy. I would also chuck that into your footer, mate. I would have a proper footer in the site. I would have contact details. I would have some specific quick links to internal pages that people specifically want to know. How, obviously how to get in, points or whatever it is you do. That I'm assuming. Information on, just the top of the range. I mean, why would I want to move there, or like particular cities or areas or services or whatever. And then, of course, schema markup on your business. I don't know if you've got a business page, but I would also look at sorting that out. So yes, I think we've got a lot to crack on with. And that's me done.
Okay, thank you, Tim. So it looks like Luke Pilkington Ching should contact Luke Naylor of visionwebdesign.co.nz and get him to fix a lot before worrying about ranking, because it looks like it's a quality issue. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of quality issue, and then I mean, let me and also just in terms of what kind of sort of info?
And even if all these technical issues are sorted out, I think it's going to be very difficult to rank well, because I was looking at the keywords that have been mentioned, phrases that have been mentioned, and on google.co.uk, a lot of the results are from the New Zealand government website. So I don't think you're going to outrank those. Sure. And then there are a few specific agencies based in the UK who assist people to emigrate to New Zealand. So for someone based in the UK, for example, then those companies would be probably the first point of call. So it's going, I think what is necessary in addition to all the problems associated with the website is really who is your target audience. Because I don't think it's possible to compete in that general level against the New Zealand government website or specific agencies that operate in the, as it were, emigrating countries, whether that's the UK or another country. So I think there needs to be a clearer focus, in my view. That's on top of all the issues that have been identified by Tim, to do with the website.
Yeah, I didn't even look at that. So the top 4 slots is actual government. Then there's another one after that. Number 5 is also a government, but a different departments. Then you've got a wiki. And then after that, in 7, you've got an actual website. So essentially you could go for position 7. But it's going to take you a long time on those small, short tail, immigrate to New Zealand kind of keywords. I think if you were looking at this, obviously once you've sorted the site out, I would certainly start looking at content. Blog, you can use it in blog, or you can use it in your top line kind of content, informational content that's going to attract people on a longer thing. Like, for example, I mean, like I said, once I know how to immigrate to New Zealand, that's me, job done. Now I want to know things about it. So whether I take a test or whatever it is, oh, you need 50 grand to immigrate or whatever. So let's say once that question is answered, then I need to research. I need to know what's going on, different areas, house pricing, the job market, what jobs in particular on certain cities are more required than others.
So all of those things are listed as services under the comprehensive thing. Maybe Luke should break out a whole set of pages, each one dealing with a specific service that he offers as part of the full package.
What service? Comprehensive service?
Well, he was like his complete service on the website. I found a thing, the complete service, which is, you know, school relocation and registration and house.
Yeah, but that's not.
You go on.
Yeah, but so he's offering a school relocation, but that is not helping me in making my decision in terms of moving. I still want to know. So I know about immigration, but I don't even know what city yet. I'm not going to start looking at schools if I don't know a city yet. And of course, if I eventually figure out what city I'm going to be in that I want to move to based upon job requirements and things like that, then eventually when I look at house prices in that area, then I may include near a decent school. You get me? I mean,
yeah.
He's gone from, put it this way, he's gone from immigrate to New Zealand to I'll put your kids into a school. I haven't even decided what city, what job, where's the best, what's nice, what's a shit area, what's a decent area. That's what I'm saying is immigrate to New Zealand is going to be damn hard to position himself in to finding a school. There is that wealth of the opportunity in the middle where it's not covered. And that's what Mas and I are saying. There's that opportunity in the middle because immigrate to New Zealand is going to be a bitch to I'm a long way off from putting my kids into a school because I haven't even picked a city yet or got a job.
Yeah, so maybe you can also break out a whole set of pages of content on each city in New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there should be in-depth information on, on pretty much on the city. population, average age, lifestyle, murder, robbery, shit like that. What areas in the city do I want to live in? What areas do you want to stay away from? What areas are, you know, like rampant Maoris running around, like, you know, it's going to wreck my wife. I don't want to live there. What area has, you know, and then eventually I will narrow it down to, you know, affordable, you know, fairly decent price that's in a middle to income bracket where I've got a couple of decent schools within a radius. Yeah, I mean, literally this thing, you know, that's your area that you can attract people in longer tail, but that's the area you can really go to town on. I mean, break the whole thing down, you know, or on the flip side, go and live in the countryside and shack sheep. You know, if you're going to do that one, I want to know how many sheep, which one's attractive, you know, long-haired or short-haired. Do you see what I mean? This guy's, you've got to really go to town on this. If people, if I'm going to use you, I need to, you know, that is what's going to attract me. I need to trust the information that you're putting out there. I need to say, wow, this guy really helped me get my head around New Zealand. And if somebody's immigrating, they've obviously been there on holiday and stuff like that. So, and spent time there, which, you know, they'd be silly not to. But what I'm saying is, if it was me, and I've, you know, never been there, no intention of going there, I would want to know this information. And if I've found the site, you've presented it to me, you've given me information where I have been able to make, you know, real educated decisions on where I want to live, how I'm going to get there, where the kids are going to go, you know, where I don't want to live, where I do want to live, then invariably I would use his service.
Yeah.
But you've got to sort the site out first before you even go down this road.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at about us, our team, I think there's an interesting core there because they have personal experience of migrating to New Zealand. So that's something that's, you know, a good selling point. You know, saying we did this ourselves, therefore we know the challenges better than perhaps people who have been born and raised in New Zealand. So that's one way to extinguish the business. And then there are lists of the consultants, but it's not clear where they are based, because if you look at towards the bottom of the page, it says choose a city to meet a resettlement consultant, semicolon, and then there's nothing. So now I can't choose a city from the page. There doesn't seem to be any links.
Yeah.
So I mean, then I think having that local tie would help, because if you can say, look, these consultants are based in these cities and they know the city very well, they can tell you everything, and perhaps they can write articles about their cities, what's good about, you know, living in those cities, and so on and so forth. So I think there are lots of opportunities, there are lots of things that you can do. So it's a question of fixing what needs to be fixed now, because there are several issues, technically. And then it is really about focus. You know, what's your strength? Why should I go to your business and not consult some other agency? And then expand on the resources that you have. And I think there are, I think there are good reasons to choose the business because of the personal experience, the consultants, and so on and so forth. So I think the website needs to play to the strengths, which at the moment the website doesn't.
Yep. David, you were going to speak before, but I interrupted you accidentally.
Yes, I was just wanting to make sure that well, it's not so much a case of me wanting to decide to move to New Zealand or where I want to, or what the schools may be, but this is corporate resettlement. The buyer here is the company. You know, you might be HSBC, and you might be someone who's currently working in London, and they want to move you to New Zealand. And this company, I think, is selling its services to HSBC, not the person who's moved.
Yeah, I didn't even pick up on that. You see, so that needs to be. So yeah, you know.
So some of what we've said is true. You know, it may well. I may well want to know where in a particular city or area the best schools are, because I'm going to have to move there, because that's where my commute is to the bank. So yeah, there's a lot of this stuff that will still work, but this is corporate resettlement, or, you know, in an extreme situation, I guess, move complete company from wherever, from South Africa, because they can't stand it, to New Zealand, which is much nicer.
Mate, a southerner wouldn't go south. We don't. Africa is down for south, mate. You don't. No, mate. You never go south. No, it's like shit. No, it's north. We progress upwards. We don't regress. Yeah, it's like regression. No.
Okay.
We
No,
do a
but
bit of
then,
regression analysis now, obviously.
David, that's in a sense. Then, do you think I think relocation is a good word in that sense. I'm not so sure about the resettlement, because that implies sort of very much a permanent thing, doesn't it?
The pitch is about settling families. It says on the homepage something about happy families, a happy employee is a happy family, or a happy family is a happy employee, or something like that somewhere.
Settled family.
Where's it says settled family is a settled employee. So you know, they obviously like the idea of settled, as in at home.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's different sector, isn't it? Because so does that mean, are they selling their services to people who are going to move permanently? So it's not as if they are moving for a number of years, perhaps without the intention necessarily of staying forever. Whereas, you know, lifetime migration, if you like, is that, you know, you move there and you're going to stay there. That's, you know, it's not going to be a temporary thing. You're not going to. Do you see what I mean? Because
I would expect them to offer both of those things, and I think that they should be. I think they would be offering help with getting the right kind of visa for that. You know, are you coming to this country with a commitment to going back again, or going back from where you came from after 5 years, or whatever the legal things are in New Zealand? But you know, it could be that's a requirement, or sorry, that would be a way of setting up the resettlement or the relocation that would be easier, or something. I don't know. And this is basically what these guys, or one of the things that these guys are offering. You know, they know, you know, all the ins and outs of, you know, moving a young high flyer who's just on his own or on her own here, or whether they're going to take mummy and daddy, the 15 sproglets, and the 4 grandparents.
Yeah, so, I mean, if they're selling, I think, if they're selling their services to other companies, so in a sense, if it's a B2B, that is a very, that's a specific, more specific area, isn't it?
Yes.
And they should play to that strength, because there would be, I suspect that there might be agencies that deal with all sorts of things, from individual migration to company, employee relocation. Whereas looking around the side, it's more likely that they really do concentrate on designing programs for employees and their families who are being transferred, or who want to transfer to New Zealand.
Oh, hang on. If you read the last but one sentence in the first paragraph here, it seems to be both. We work with individuals, families, as well as directly with employers.
I think
so. It looks as if they're doing all of it. Although reading this seems to be about this being a corporate service, because I have in the deep dark past, before the internet, if you remember that, even if you were around before that matter, I remember writing brochures for a company who did just this. They were based in the City of London, if I remember correctly, and they specialised in relocating, resettling people in big financial services companies. The manager who would go out to Hong Kong for 3 years, or whatever, or the person coming in from Frankfurt to London for 5 years. And this was, this kind of pitch.
Yeah, no, because my family had the same thing. So, in the sense that there is a market for that. So, in a sense, it's a question of, again, specialization and pitching, isn't it? Because is this company really aiming at that employee support, relocation support side of things? Are they trying to do everything?
Yeah, the key phrases that pop up in the question seem to be rather at odds with the content on the website, and the ways they're describing the business. New Zealand relocation and resettlement specialists is a kind of strapline stuck on the right here, just above the menu. I wonder whether they've really thought hard about the key phrases that they're looking at, because they've chosen a set of rather generalist key phrases, which, as the rest of you have said already, they're going to be tough. I think they really need to do some real key phrase, some real thinking about key phrases, and get some proper investigation of the niches that they're looking at selling into. I think that unless there are key phrases, unless there are no key phrases around community resettlement, say, then those are the sort of areas they should be looking at, and they should be trying to imagine what presumably the HR person in the company would be searching on to get the company out of the problem of actually arranging this.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, Immigration New Zealand and those are not necessarily the things that will get the answers that that person is looking for. You know, they may well type it in, but they're going to find a load of stuff that's not corporate, that's not about moving people in a corporate sense. So I think there's got to be some more fundamental thinking and research about the content and the key phrases, because, you know, I may be telling them to suck eggs. They may well have done this, and they may have found that there's not any searches on what they really want. In which case, that does actually put a big question mark against this business as it is at the moment. Because if people are not looking for it, then they may not get too many clients.
Yeah,
that's not a definite conclusion, but it's something that should be prodded with a stick to see what happens.
Yeah, that's really good. You know, a good idea for Susan there, because it could be an HR person who's looking at the site. It could be the employee. You know, so, you know, the company or person might have said, okay, I want to go to New Zealand. I want to work there. So it might be different types of people looking. So, you know, what an HR person might look for could be different from what an employee might be looking for.
Yeah.
So, you know, imagine yourself as the HR person. The kind of information that that I as an HR person might want would be probably different. It might be more to do with legal stuff. It might be more to do with, you know, the costing and things like that.
Mm.
If I'm an employee, then perhaps I'm more interested about quality of life. You know, I might be more interested about the schools, those kind of things. So it is really about packaging that information and targeting it to the right audience, isn't it? At the moment, it's very difficult to immediately see what the business does and does really well.
Mm.
And
Yes.
in what capacity. So, you know, I could be a young person who wants to migrate to New Zealand. That's a completely different scenario from an HR person looking at the, you know, trying to help relocate someone. We're expanding the business into New Zealand. We want to send someone there. I want to know about the conditions, the legal requirements, and so forth. That's different again from an employee who might be considering for position to transfer to New Zealand. So at the moment, it seems to be too general and without focus.
There is some stuff here about New Zealand on the Immigrate to New Zealand info. It is some stuff, but it's just in a little tiny drop down. What? No. Which doesn't work. And yeah, so that doesn't work. Your information on that doesn't work. Immigration rules. I'm trying to look at immigration rules. I click the expand button, and it just takes me to the top of the page. So what information you had on there is not able to be accessed. And anything in that drop downs like that in expanded, Googlebot doesn't see. Also, I notice your titles in some of your pages. Some have titles, some don't. Your comprehensive service page, all it says is comprehensive. That's not doing anything for anyone. I think you need to start at the beginning and work your way through the site.
And I have another suggestion too. I think that the domain name is wrong. It's a CCTLD. I mean, it's country specific. So, you know, what that means is that it's automatically geo-targeted to google.co.nz. And while some occasionally some pages will break out and be shown worldwide. Generally, the traffic from this site, because it's a New Zealand specific domain, will be shown in New Zealand. And what if his market is people to emigrate to New Zealand, what is he doing preaching to the converted for those that still already live in New Zealand? I think it should be a .com.
I think you're right. There you are. We agreed with you for once.
I knew if I kept plugging away, I'd get one right.
No, what's wrong with check out, I never looking at it. So if you're immigrating, right, your kids are only eligible for certain schools. You can't just go to any school. They have to attend a school that complies with the International Student Code of Practice, whatever the hell that is. And of course, they charge you more, between $7,000 and $12,000 a year. That's another reason not to go.
Yeah. And I think a clear explanation of the end-to-end settlement company, that's how the company is billing itself on About Us. So it'd be nice to see the real flow from the beginnings till the end. Perhaps you can have a fictionalized story about someone moving from another country in different situations and what they had to go through, different stages, explaining and how they settled down and how they're happy now, so on and so forth.
I'm on your standalone services page. In your community orientation, there's a link, move to New Zealand, going to moving to New Zealand services. I clicked on that. 404 forward. Yeah, listen, just before we even start talking about anything else, I think this guy just needs to really rectify the site and work through that.
Yeah, so the advice is build a quality website, build some good referential content, something which is useful, and don't link to a page with a keyword and have it land on a page that doesn't even have an instance of the keyword on it. The anchor text used throughout the site really is not helpful. Change the menu to build the content as Tim said earlier. Anyway, I suppose Luke Pilkington Chin is feeling a little sheepish, but
there's enough of them in flaming New Zealand, isn't it? No, this is the thing. He can go back to his designer now and slap him, because I'm assuming he paid for this site. I'd have words.
If he hasn't paid the check yet, he should cancel it until it's I mean, the linking at the bottom, that next and 1, 2, that's just appalling. That's somebody using a template and trying to hack it to make it work without understanding how it all works. It should be paginated. It should be. It's bad, Luke. Anyway, it's bad. But
I'd chuck this into WordPress. That's what WordPress does well.
Yeah. Anyway, Luke, as I meant to say before, I suppose you're feeling sheepish, but don't feel that way. We've all done it. I'm sure. If I look back, I have built some appalling websites, and I'm not going to give you examples. I'm embarrassed enough already. All right, let's move on to the next there's nothing more that we need to add to this one, is it? No, I'm recording that as a no. All right, we're on to number 6. What are your opinions on relative versus absolute linking in terms of SEO benefits?
I'm not sure there is an SEO benefit of one over the other. I think what Dave Elliott says is probably right, but I can't think that one would be better than the other. But I will quite happily be shot down on that one.
No, I agree with you. I don't think there's any difference at all, because when Googlebot crawls asynchronously, it doesn't immediately jump to a linked page. It records the link, and at some point in the future, at some time, another Googlebot will come along to go to that link that it recorded. So it doesn't record relative links because it's crawling one page at a time. It already knows the base href, and it would record the links as absolute anyway. No other comments? I take Dave Elliott's point. I see Dave is another one of our forum heroes who answers questions through the week, and I take his point that he prefers relative. It's easier to develop in relative. And there's things that can't go wrong. But usually we develop with relative links and then hard code them as absolute once we go live.
I can't remember the exact nature of the article, but I'm sure there was an article talking about relative being more open to. I'll dig it out if I find something that I'm thinking about, and I'll add it to the question.
Yeah, wasn't there an argument that if you use relative and someone copies your page, if you have absolute addresses, then at least you
get a link back.
Yeah. Instead of going to 404. I think I've seen that somewhere, but I suppose that's a minor consideration.
That would be the exact argument for it. Hey, my site's going to be copied. Yeah.
All right, Chase, we'll call that an answer for you. And this is from Mohammed Nagi Mahmood. And Mohammed said, or asked, how can I get backlinks to my website without any spam?
Right, I mean, it's kind of an open-ended question, but the essential, like, the way you're going to generate a link is by providing something of value to someone. So it's either on your site, and it's super brilliant. You're providing, maybe it's not necessarily an article, it could be a great image, it could be a calculator, it could be a tool, it could be a white paper. So you're providing something of real quality and value to that user, that user wants to then either link to as a reference from their site or whatever, or share it. And another user might find, so it's of value to someone that they want to link to and reference to on your site. You could also, in the other sense, provide something of value to another site, or idea or content, whether that be to another site, another newspaper, a journalist, someone else who has found value in wanting to, or believe that their audience would want to read this, and they report on it. So whether it be a news site, a blog, a tech article, something like that. So the whole crux of it, the way you're going to earn a link, is by either value on your site or offering them some form of value or insight or information that they believe their readers would enjoy. So without going into the whole thing of link building and blah, 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 but at the end of the day, it's about that value that somebody will either want to publish something or link to your site for. It's quite simply that.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, so it looks like we've done it again for yet another week, guys. We've answered all of the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. Now we go to our weekly SEO News Roundup, where topics of interest are posted on the SEO News community. And you can make your own posts on the SEO News community, and we'll cover them in our roundup, or you can join us here on the panel, talk about them yourself. Here's one posted by David Rozam, and David posted a recommendation from Google recommending Hreflang sitemaps.
I partly posted this because we've had a lot of Hreflang questions over the months, or at least questions that have led to answers about Hreflang. And it struck me that I personally don't know what an Hreflang sitemap is. So maybe someone could tell me.
I haven't ever seen it in a spec, but no doubt Google, it might be something new. Let me look at the article.
There's a long quote from a Googler in it about it, and when you should be using it and so on and so forth, but it doesn't define.
Oh, this was a quote from Maylee Owe. I'm still waiting for an answer to a question I asked her in 2011. She said she'll get back to me. Yeah.
Are you saying we should be taking this with a pinch of salt?
No, I'm just saying that I did ask Maylee a question, and she undertook to get back to me. So if Maylee happens to hear this, let her know I'm not dead yet and still waiting. I don't know what she's talking about.
I found a support page, a Google support page, and it seems to be suggesting. Anyway, let me just put this in the in that there chat thing. Oh, you found it already, have you? Mass has just done it as well. So that link there is seems to be saying use an XML sitemap with a few extra Hreflang bits in it. So I wonder.
And it does qualify the statement in the sense that for a large site, I would go with sitemap and check for errors if possible at the same time.
Well, setting up Hreflang in its usual way, when you start getting to lots of pages or lots of languages, can be a bit of a nightmare. I imagine that if you have a tool that can do Hreflang within sitemaps, that will be a lot easier undertaking.
Yeah, you didn't necessarily. Yeah, because you wouldn't have to wait for every single page to be crawled again. Within the new, if it's on page. I suppose Google will have to crawl the page again, as it were, to see the updated Hreflang. Whereas if it's in a sitemap, it's a single file.
Get in there, son.
What's Tim Capper talking about?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's Russian or some kind of South African mumbling.
No, sorry, guys. It's just a tiny little maintain, tiny little site, and their original thing at the end of the day was to be positioned for antique fairs in the UK, and we finally tipped over to page 1. Get in there, my son. Yeah. See, it just, it just pays off, just patience, just work your way through it, provide good shit to people that want to read it. Just, oh, that'll be a nice report at the end of this month. Pay me more.
Shall we go back to Hreflang sitemaps?
It just tickled me. It just tickled me, people. It just tickled me. It was a nice little end of Thursday surprise.
What? Are you shutting up now?
Especially after my twin wheel industrial grade PVC brain dead feeling this morning.
There are several tools here that I've just found by Googling for tools for Hreflang tool for XML sitemaps from MediaFlow, and there's an omctools.com one, and it goes on and on. So I'm just wondering whether I have access to a site at the that uses Hreflang. I don't think I do.
All right. So, Yeah, well, before I move on from this question, can you add that link to the sitemap generator? Because that was going to be my question. It's all very well having this spec, but practically speaking, you must have a generator which actually does handle the rel alternate insertion and so on. Also, interestingly too, you notice that on Google's example sitemap, there's absolutely no mention of callback in whatever and last modified. I mean, it does bear out what we already think, and that's that Googlebot pays no attention to anything but the URL. And now, apparently, it also does pay attention to Hreflang.
Well, it always has paid attention. They're just saying it's nicer for us to be able to have this information without having to crawl about your entire site and eventually put it all together like a jigsaw.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that with a normal sitemap, you can put, revisit after 1 day, and
well, yeah, it is
completely ignored by Googlebot.
Yeah, but Googlebot, we've known that for like what, 5 years now.
I think that's what I said, Tim.
Yeah, the thing is, developers are still hung up in it, aren't they? You look at some sitemaps, and you'll get developers who will tell Googlebot like to revisit products like every day or every 2 days, and then they will say like category level like 5 days, and then like top line like every week, and I'm like, mate, what do you want about? You've actually spent time doing this. Are you off your nut? Which you've ultimately ended up charging your client for.
Okay, so we've tweeted that, and now we move on to the next. This one, Google's Penguin announcement. Wait for Google's Penguin announcement and don't keep speculating. Penguin is dead. It died a long time ago. Was booted out the door with Matt Cutts. And yes, now we have. I suppose this is because they just get sick of being asked. But I hope it annoys them that to be continually asked about Penguin, because they built this stupid algorithm that penalises innocent sites, and they decided that it was going to run infrequently and so on. So yeah, look, they should be punished, uphill and down dale. I think it's just a colossal cluster. Yeah, I won't say. Yeah.
Yes. A clusterfunk. Is that the one?
Something like that.
Oh, right. Just to be clear about it.
All right.
Here's an interesting one for some people. This just popped into the top of my head, off the top of my head. Keywords, right? When you're doing keyword research and trying to expand on your whole thing, now ordinarily it's not really a big problem, because you can use a lot, like SEMrush and different phrase things. Except I this week came across some really difficult ones. Basically, baffle grease filters that I'm working on. Baffle grease filters, right? I mean, the excitement that I live with. Anyway, kind of long story short, what I did find very useful, because nobody else was providing me any form of insight, including AdWords, answerthepublic.com actually gave me some stuff to work with. So, Deb, just off the top of my head, answerthepublic.com it doesn't work for everything, but for the most boring crap like kind of term that I was looking at things around, it actually provided me things when all the other tools out there didn't, and including Google. So, hey ho, that's just some random shit for you today.
Thank you, Tim.
No worries, mate. No worries. Just keeping you informed.
What is he on?
Hey, David, did you see my my absolutely cool, the best thing you'll ever see this year, hijack listings? Article, mate.
I saw it.
I'm not sure I did.
You better tell me you read it, you bastard. Did you
I read a
it?
lot of things.
I shall send it to you, because this is the best thing you are ever going to see in 2016, guaranteed. There you go. Have a look at that. And how super cool is that, mate? That is like awesome.
Right, that's fine.
I just can't believe people have not appreciated this. I can't understand it. I just, maybe I'm too involved in local these days, because that to me is the sexiest thing I've ever seen.
Oh dear. Yeah.
No, you saying I need to get out more?
Yeah, walk your dog.
I'm having. It's not actually doing a lot for me, Tim.
You can't see the genius and beauty in that.
It's the next bit that I'm having trouble with.
The what?
The claim that this is sexy.
Yes. And you can even like click through to the actual results page. I mean, that is even better, because you can like literally scroll through pages and pages of it. I mean, that is like, oh, look, you see, Google's already started removing it. Wankers. Look, they've removed it all. Ugh. Well, at least I got it whilst it was there. But you notice, now look at this, right? You notice that they've literally gone through and removed the images, but they haven't removed the spam.
That's wrong, isn't it?
It is, mate. There is phone numbers in the addresses.
They
are
have
phone numbers
removed the
in
images
the
because that it makes them look bad, but didn't remove the spam, which is making them look bad.
Yeah. And there's hijacked things in there. Look at the very first one. It's completely hijacked. It was meant to be a school. That was a school that these guys hijacked. That is just ridiculous. They've just made that unsexy now, and they just made me angry.
Yeah, well, now's the time, while you're motivated, to write a new page on, what were they thinking?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, it might cost you a ticket to Mountain View.
No, it's London this year, mate.
Yeah, that's cheapskating it, isn't it? Anyway, all right, let's move on to the next news item we're talking about. Rank tracking, is it useful in modern SEO? This is an article by the inimitable David Harry. I read the article. Of course, David confirms that rank tracking is important. I am on semrush.com every day. David Rosam knows that I have reports on SEMrush that go out to my clients because David stuffed them up for me one day. Practicing. This was a great article from David talking about the need for tracking rankings. Of course we need to track rankings because we need to provide feedback to our clients. We need to get confirmation that on how we're going. You know, we can look at and see if we start to drop. We can then go to find out why. It doesn't matter what the actual ranks are. It's just a matter of keeping an eye on things, establishing a benchmark, and using that benchmark to guide us, to let us know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And I use SEMrush because SEMrush give us all of the panelists on Dumb SEO Questions. They give us a free subscription. Did you get yours fixed? Oh, you did, didn't you?
Oh, yes, yes.
I'm sorry I forgot that.
That's okay, no problem. They jumped on it super quick though. It all happened, and by the time I got to check it, yeah, it was all working and stuff.
Yeah. All right, looks like it's just us now, David. Thank you for that, Edwin Yonk. Yeah, and let's go to the next. I better tweet that. Okay, the next is one from Chase Rayner. Rand Fishkin from Moz shares SEO tips. Now, there's a surprise. I tell you, Chase is doing a great job with podcasts, and you know, I've been very slack and let our podcast break. I intend to fix that very soon on SoundCloud, and I might even bite the bullet and try and get them hooked up to iTunes and Google Play.
You know that's to do with Apple, don't you, iTunes?
Yes. I've got no problem there. I'm thinking of buying an iPhone 6, David.
Ah, get a 6 Plus S. The 6S Plus.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of buying.
This is the good old man phone. This is. You can see what's written on it.
Yeah, I have a Windows phone, but my eyes are getting old and tired. So I was thinking of getting the big Apple. So that
like New York, they do.
I can see a little bit better. I must say the video quality on the Windows phone is better than the video quality on Apple.
Ah.
And also, it's a pain on the iPhone because like you can't just take say if you did a slow motion recording on iPhone, which I actually did with my son's iPhone. You can't just plonk it on Google Plus or whatever. You've got to convert it and recode it to post it. Yeah. It doesn't just. I think maybe because it's slow motion. I don't know.
No idea. I've never tried.
Anyway, Elliot and I have some bees that we want to post on Google Plus. Stay tuned for the next exciting episode. All right, so yeah, thank you, Rand Fishkin. Moving on to the next, and
Oh, I lost.
Oh yes, this was news from SEMrush. Olga emailed me to tell me that SEMrush has doubled their keyword database for Australia and now covers also now covers 11 million domains. There's only 25 million people in Australia. We've got 11 million domains here. Anyway, yeah, I checked it out. It is good. And the other thing I like about SEMrush, this is not an infomercial, by the way. I just wanted to point out that SEMrush, they seem to be redeveloping it on an almost daily basis. You know, the latest design I love because it's good for me. I can actually read stuff. Anybody else? Tim Cappy, you're an Australian SEO according to the latest SEMrush blog. the Australian SEO meetup.
Get that right. Expert Australian SEO, mate.
Sorry?
They couldn't find enough. They couldn't find enough for you, so they had to draft me in. They needed something on e-commerce, so they asked me if I could participate.
Okay. All right. Let me tweet that. Actually, I'll tweet that again properly. Okay. All right, on to the next, and this one, it's thank you for watching. Are there any other items of general business? No.
Only what Tim's on today.
I think it's just cabin fever.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only, there are only so many ways you can describe muffle grease, or whatever it was.
Muffle grease, wasn't it?
No, it was the twinned wheel, light industrial, grey PVC.
Tim's never happy
Either in
when
a
he's describing pink fluffy elephants.
Plate or a bolt hole.
Anyway.
I'm really jealous, I am. I don't get to do things like this.
Yeah, it's killing me. It's killing me.
Anyway, thank you for watching. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile. We'll be back at the same time next week to do it all again, but for now, it's good night.